Good morning, Web3 community. Thank you so much for joining the first Infura community call of 2023. 2022 was a bit of a doozy, right? Lots of drama happened, but also lots of amazing things like the merge came through. So we got a great show planned for you. And as always, I'm Chris Anatalio, your friendly neighborhood platform advocate. We have a bunch of great guests for you today, if you're a fan. So be sure to follow me on Twitter and GitHub. And let's go ahead and introduce our amazing guests. We have JP. He's a head of community and partnerships from InfluenceETH. Influence is a super cool, space-based, epic MMO, completely on-chain, completely in the browser, very accessible, never before been done. In my opinion, blows any other Web3 game out of the water, but I'm a bit biased because I love sci-fi and I love space MMOs. So super excited to hear their super secret or not so secret announcement that's going to happen this week. And then we also have Anthony Beaumont. He's the CEO and the co-founder of Encode Club. Encode Club is a really cool organization. They help jumpstart your crypto education with boot camps, hackathons, all kinds of stuff, advising, investing. They're like a one-stop shop to bootstrap people into a Web3 career. They're an awesome part of the community, and I can't wait to hear what they have to say. And then finally, we have Nestor, who works in DevRel for the Celo Foundation. Celo is a really cool, not just carbon neutral, but carbon negative, EVM compatible, really accessible blockchain meant to connect the citizens of the globe. And then we also have Marek from the Celo Foundation, who is the CTO. So just a bit more about Influence. They got an open economy, player-owned assets. It's kind of like EVE Online, but on-chain, and you actually own your assets. So it's super cool. You have to colonize asteroids, build infrastructure, engage in combat, just be amazing spacefaring pirate if you want to be, a space pirate, or whatever you want to be. Encode Club, like I said, helps you jumpstart your crypto learning experience with education, boot camps, hackathons, a startup accelerator to incubate new startups, and even investing. And finally, we have Celo, who is leading a thriving digital economy that's carbon negative, mobile first, and EVM compatible. So let me go ahead and pass the mic to the amazing JP from InfluenceETH. So I'm going to unshare my screen.
Hey guys, I'm here with my founder as well, Chris. Chris is actually going to be doing the screen share here. So we'll go ahead and get started once we can get on screen. But yeah, excited to be here. Thank you for having us. I think you guys are going to get to learn some new information about games that are coming to you on Web3 and pushing the boundary of what I think most people think is possible. So once we can get our screen up here, we'll go ahead and get started. Sorry, I know there's two Chris's, but consensus Chris. I still see the Celo screen. Is it?
Yep, I got it.
Okay, cool.
We're on our way.
Let's see here.
Yeah, this Crowdcast interface is really struggling to handle 5,300 guests.
It says green. It seems like it's waiting a second here.
So just to preface, what we're showing you guys is the actual game. We're going to be diving into the client, showing you around, and giving you guys some details about, what we're doing and why we're different. And then we can talk about, some of the events that we have going on starting tomorrow where you can participate in this game.
So it says that it is sharing. Can anybody see it?
I don't see it yet.
No, not yet.
Oh, there it comes.
Okay, there we go.
All right.
I'm not sure how to properly adjust the screen to make sure I'm seeing the video, but I can see it there in the bottom left. Chris, are you seeing it full screen?
No, not
No,
yet.
it's at the bottom left.
Okay.
JP, while we're getting that set up, shall we just go ahead and get started?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'll introduce myself and then I'll pass it off to you, Chris. So yeah, I'm Jean-Paul. I'm head of community and partnerships for Influence, and we've been working on this game for a little over 2 years now. So we're really excited to show you guys what we have going. And this is a pretty big moment for us because tomorrow we actually have the ability for you guys to all dive into this game. But yeah, Chris, why don't you introduce yourself and maybe the idea of Influence?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Chris Lexmond, founder and CEO of Unstoppable Games. We are building Influence. And, Influence is an idea that I think originated quite a while ago, about a decade, when I was heavily playing EVE Online, as Chris kind of alluded to. Always a fascinating game to me. They did so many things right. So many exciting sort of focus on playing with large groups. It's a very social game, very strategic game. And I think one of the things that always stuck out to me was how much value was really driven by players that took it upon themselves to really breathe life into the EVE universe. Now, ultimately, that value was kind of locked in the EVE universe. I think as blockchain came along, I started to see the possibility of building something where that wasn't necessarily the case. And so about between 2 and 3 years ago, I really started to build the foundations of Influence, initially on Ethereum, and we did indeed deploy to Ethereum in 2021, and are now working heavily on deploying onto Starknet, which is a ZK rollup, layer 2 ZK rollup. And so really the foundation, excuse me, recovering from a cold a little bit. Really the foundation of Influence is that you are part of this group of humans that left Earth, a couple hundred years in the future. They were thrown off course and effectively ended up in a system where they had to ditch and live in an asteroid belt. And so I think one of the really unique gameplay elements of Influence is that all of these 250,000 asteroids that exist are actually orbiting in real time. So it's this kind of ever-changing strategic landscape. Major focus of the game is surviving in this quite hostile environment. You've got to mine materials, pull them out of the ground, build ships, build more buildings, ultimately survive in Anatalio, which is the name of the system. Looked like it went up full screen for a second there.
Yeah, there we go.
Awesome. So, we can get into it here briefly, but I did want to touch for a second on, the fact that Influence is an on-chain game. Why are we building it? I think that on-chain games have started to come more into the overall consciousness of the space, and we've heard them referred to in a few different ways. Autonomous worlds. I've seen composable games, eternal games. We call them unstoppable games. But really, the intention is to take all game state and have the entire state of your world, of your game, settle on chain. And I think it brings a lot of really exciting possibilities. It allows for other people to build on top of your game, not just from the sort of read APIs that you see in traditional games, but write APIs as well. Ultimately, you can build anything on top of it. And we've in fact seen that from our community. We have a pretty fully featured SDK. They can jump in and kind of build any sort of app that they want. And you know, the reality is, like, as these games grow and grow and grow, oftentimes you'll see developers kind of make decisions that are against the community's interest, against kind of the long-term interest of the game. And we really want to build something that we can put out there and say, this can exist forever. If the community wants it to, if the community ultimately wants to go in a different direction than we do, that's also possible. And I think that that's a really exciting set of possibilities. And so our intention is truly to be completely on-chain, as decentralized as possible, to deliver on that vision. So yeah, why don't I reload here? Just a brief caveat. This is a active work in progress. We are about to, as JP mentioned, do a public test that starts tomorrow. And so you'll be able to check out the current state of the game and the progress that we have made over the last year and a half, 2 years. JP, do you want to just sort of introduce the belt?
Yeah. So what you guys are looking at right now is Adalia. This is the asteroid belt that players actually play in. What you're seeing right now, I believe, is the 2,000 largest asteroids, because there are 250,000 asteroids that are actually in Adalia. And that would just be too much to load all at once and see clearly. And then we have, a variety of different types of asteroids, and this is all based off of hard science. So basically, there's C, I, M, and S type asteroids, and each one of these types of asteroids have a different set of resources that can be mined on their surfaces or below their surfaces, and then you combine those materials into different usable products to try and build more infrastructure and ships to expand the colony throughout the belt. The largest asteroid in game is actually called Adalia Prime. Chris is loading that up right now. And maybe, Chris, you want to give a little info on Adalia Prime?
Yeah, absolutely. So Adalia Prime, in the game's lore, is its largest asteroid, as JP mentioned. It's where the Arvad, which is the ship in the game, originally went into orbit, and ultimately became the location of the first colony. And it's where all players will initially start at the game's launch. And from there, they will make efforts to build infrastructure, build ships, and ultimately get off of Adalia Prime and onto their own asteroids that they can continue to develop. And you'll notice, like, for example, that Adalia Prime has only 2 categories of resources out of 5. And so you cannot build everything that you need to build in this game just on one asteroid. And in fact, you can't, almost none of the finished product can be built on a single asteroid. So it is a game that drives, again, as EVE Online did, towards cooperation amongst a large number of people. The thing that excites me a lot about this is that everything you're seeing is on chain, from the asteroid seed that defines how it looks in client, these resource maps. So what you're seeing now is a map that identifies where the largest deposits of calcite are on the surface. That is procedurally generated on chain as well, on StarkNet. Where the asteroids are, how they orbit, all of that is on chain. All the game state's on chain. It can all be recreated without knowing anything about the client at all, which I think is a pretty exciting and novel concept. So, this is. I'm going to jump over to one of the ones that I've been playing a little bit more actively on. So I can sort of show the next steps. But I think while I do that, JP, if you want to talk about the action items, and kind of how we're merging, I guess, blockchain activity and game activity.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what you guys are looking at, like Chris said, is all on chain. And because it is all on chain, we do have to wait for, transactions to finalize and, be picked up by the blockchain. And so there's some interesting mechanics that you have to do or, kind of deal with when building these types of games. And we don't want it to be intrusive to play. And so when you take an action in game, on the left-hand side, you can see some blue and gray, kind of text there. And those are the actions that you've actually taken and the variety of states that they can be in. The blue is ready state, meaning they have been confirmed on chain, and you can go now complete them. And then the gray is things that are either active or have already been completed. However, if there is something in processing still, meaning it hasn't been picked up on chain, but you've actually taken that action, it's going to show up as purple and say processing. So instead of having to constantly look into your wallet at the activity tab that a lot of people are used to in Web3, you're going to be able to do that just like Chris is showing. That top level now, it's purple, and you're just going to wait for that to finalize, and it'll turn blue or gray for you to be able to either complete that action or it has been completed. So this is a really novel way to try and make it a game. You know, you guys are playing a game. We don't want to take you out of that element. And so this is a good way to show you that things are still on chain, but you're still playing a game and you're not having to be constantly looking in a wallet or account to be able to tell what's happening. And then, yeah, Chris, maybe you want to just kind of tell people a little bit about these resource maps that are showing up and you know, overall what people can do.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, you know, all of these, and there you just saw the in progress transaction finalized on chain. It now jumps down to be a completed core sample that you can use for further activities, like in this case, extracting resources. But basically, you know, what JP is talking about, these resource maps, every asteroid has its own unique makeup, and every asteroid's unique makeup indeed has its own set of unique resource maps. So, you know, as you go and you know, purchase an asteroid, scan it, and uncover these resource distributions, the whole idea of the game is really like, let's find what we need to extract to ultimately build the goods that are important to surviving game. And those are, at the end of the day, buildings and ships. Ultimately, longer term, that will be weapons and armor and defensive structures as well. And so, you know, in this case, I'm looking at a resource map for Marilite, and here is a high intensity section for Marilite. I can easily start a core sample. You can see some of the detail that's included as well with our crewmates, the makeup of your crew, all of the different attributes, again, all on chain, that modify your actions and your behavior. And again, like, you know, you just move forward. You start your actions. We indicate that they're on chain by kind of coloring the buttons purple. But you'll notice that as much as possible, we're really trying to have blockchain take a back seat. You know, the infrastructure is all still there. There's Infura in this case in the background. We're picking up the information, we're indexing it, we're providing it back to the client. But it's not hugely necessary for the player to be all that aware that they are on blockchain. And you know, to that end, we are also partnering with partners like Cartridge, which is a StarkNet, what they call game controller provider, effectively a wallet that really eases the onboarding UX, as well as with ArginX and their session keys concept that we've worked pretty closely with them on, which should basically allow anybody to log in, start a new session, and then not be prompted at all to sign transactions within a set that they have pre-approved, and just kind of play the game that you would expect to play without the constant intrusion of blockchain UX. So we're pretty excited about the direction. I think that tomorrow's test, like JP mentioned, public test, please join if you'd like, will really show off a lot of these new features that we've been hard at work on.
Yeah, and just to jump in here really quick, Chris, maybe you can click on the crew really fast to just showcase, you know, you guys are going to be able to create characters, you're going to be able to mint asteroids, you're going to be able to, you know, uncover those resource maps, you're going to be able to mine, build extractors, warehouses, shuffle goods around. This all starts tomorrow. It is still a limited feature set. However, it's really going to give you guys an understanding of what this game will be like, and kind of the professional level that this game has been crafted with. So, you know, what you're looking at here are your set of crew. You're able to essentially have 5 different crewmates slotted into a single crew, and that makes up the composition of the different classes that you're going to be utilizing, and it'll allow you to take actions in game with different efficiencies depending on what classes you have. So you might have a miner heavy group or a merchant heavy group, and what they can do will modify the actions that you take in game. So like if you want to extract materials and you don't have a miner in your group, you're going to be at a disadvantage. However, if you have 4 miners, then you're going to be at an advantage. So it's going to be depending on what you want to do in this game, that will decide what your crew composition should look like. So I think we're probably coming up against time here pretty soon. So I want to make sure that we're moving forward. And Chris, do you have anything else that you want to say before I kind of just close this out?
Just that, thank you to Infura. Been a great partner so far. We were one of the, I think, probably earliest users also of their StarkNet alpha. Have continued using that since. And yeah, I know you're going to say it again, but I hope that as many of you as possible will come join us for our public test tomorrow. And if there are any of you interested in starting to learn how to get into the StarkNet and Cairo ecosystem, as developers, we've had a lot of the community really excited about diving into that and building tools and almost approaching third-party clients around the Influence ecosystem with our SDK, and also by starting to explore how to interact with our Cairo contracts. So all are welcome.
Yeah. So like Chris said, we love developers in our community. Also, if you're not a developer and you just want to play a game, starts tomorrow. So thank you guys for letting us be up here. Just remember, tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern time, you guys can start playing around with this. The best way to follow us is either find us on Twitter or join our Discord. Our Twitter account is just influence the word with the letters TH at the end, easy to find. And then Discord links can be found directly in our bio. If anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to us in the Discord. We're super helpful. And thank you guys for listening. Really excited for you guys to be able to test this out tomorrow. Chris, I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah, it's so crazy to watch the future of Web3 gaming just emerge. And yeah, tomorrow, wow, I'm excited. I'm definitely going to jump on. And yeah, the opportunity for developers to integrate into your platform, build custom tools, build custom clients even, that's amazing. That's really what it's all about for Web3 gaming, Thank you so much. So next up, we have Anthony Beaumont from Encode Club. So let's pass the mic to Anthony.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Chris. Let me get some slides up. Why doesn't it like my slides?
Yeah, the UI is being kind of freezy, kind of slow right now.
All good. It's a popular event. Give me a second.
Yeah, the Infura fan kind of gave the Crowdcast server a hug of death, if you will.
Which is the right way around. This is good. Right. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
That is bad. Guess I'll give it a minute, but it doesn't really like me. It says it's showing.
Yeah, it took a couple minutes for Influence to show up. Did you just want to give us like a high-level overview?
Yeah, I will be the highest of high levels. Well, hi everyone. I'm Anthony. I'm the CEO of Encode. Forgive the nasalness. This is not traditional. Well, it is a traditional British accent, but it's also I've got a cold. I'm going to talk to you about Encode. The TLDR is it's an opportunity to get some wonderful free education, and with many different platforms, many different protocols. And hopefully get a job or funding at the end of it. I'm just going to put a website link in. Slides aren't working. And if they don't load in a second, then I will completely freestyle it. So at Encode, we call ourselves a Web3 education community. I joke this means nothing, very little in isolation, these words, and much less if we put these together. The stage is empty because there's some sort of issue, a person who has messaged. We train developers, and we do it through different types of programs. We do it through things like hackathons, a link going in chat now. We do things like boot camps, which I'll talk about in a moment. Like said here, we do things like accelerators, things here, and general just educational courses. We are chain agnostic. We work with pretty much everyone. We do. Oh wow! I might have a screen. Oh, amazing. Question is it going to move? It moves. Amazing. So I can definitely do that. I've already said this bit, but we train developers. We've worked with everyone. Blah 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 blah. And we do that through these 4 types of programs. I put the links in here. My basic call to you is this: if you are looking, for instance, to learn a new skill, perhaps Solidity, perhaps ZK, perhaps advanced Solidity, perhaps auditing or anything like that, we have courses ranging between 5 and 8 weeks that you can sign up for. I can't guarantee you'll get a place. They're good. Therefore, we filter, we interview, and we only have a limited number of places per cohort. We do have 5 cohorts starting in about a month. So if you want to be part of those, they'll run each for, I think, some for 5 weeks, some for 8 weeks. They're all live, 4 sessions a week. Then please do go ahead and register. Our wonderful head of talent, Laura, will then help you get jobs if you are in a position and good enough to get jobs. Nestor, though he didn't directly go through our process, has been through many. I was saying to our Discord, I noticed Nestor's name because he's been through many Encode programs, many hackathons, and won many prizes indeed. And that neatly brings me on to hackathons. Our hackathons typically are 4 weeks long and online. We have a Solana one going on right now. We'll have many going on in the next few weeks of many different chains and many different languages. Check out the website for those. If you're startup minded, our accelerators are the ones for you. We have a layer 2 accelerator starting soon. So if you've got a project what you think is cool and you want to help it, you want it to become a startup, do sign up for our layer 2 accelerator. Only 12 teams can be accepted, so same logic applies here. Apply and you will hopefully receive an interview, and if you're good enough you will get a place. Cool. This pretty much actually is my presentation. I've actually said all these things, so I'm not going to take up too much on the stage. The rallying call is simple. If you'd like free, hopefully excellent education with great partners, do come to Encode. If you're looking for a job, same thing applies. And hopefully we see you soon, and I will remain on chat for any questions. Big thing, boot camps. Sign up for the boot camps. They're the best thing we do. And that's me done.
Cool. Thank you, Anthony. Is Encode Club doing anything special for ETH Denver?
We are indeed. So if you did our Denver bootcamp, which I know some of you here probably did, or if you're generally just want education, we are doing a big initiative in Denver, which should be properly announced tomorrow with Jump Crypto, a big hacker house for 10 days where you can come and co-work, you can come and learn more generally through our education days, our project building days, our careers days, or our protocol specific days, again, to be announced, protocols you know and have heard of. Please do, you'll have to stay across the Encode channels. Unfortunately, there is no link bar something teaser, but that should be announced tomorrow evening. The Hacker House in Denver for those who want to join. Last thing, I will leave the Encode Twitter here. You know where to find the Twitter, but it's the sort of thing you do, right? And you're more than welcome to DM me as well with any of these things. I will put my Telegram in. Oh, that's me done.
Awesome. Thank you, Anthony. That's what Web3 is about, right? Just people helping people, learning from each other. So if you're a Web2 developer looking to transition into Web3, or you're just a Web3 crypto native looking to upskill, definitely check out Encode. And we'll see you at ETH Denver, Anthony. Super
exactly.
excited.
Yes, absolutely. Awesome. Thank you very much, Chris.
Yeah, definitely awesome. Thank you for your service to the community.
Oh, no problem.
Cool. Yeah, so our final guests, we have Nestor and Marek from the Celo Foundation. Really cool blockchain. We support it at Infura. And so I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic over to Nestor. Did you want to go first?
I think I'm going to go first.
Marek. Yeah.
Oh, Marek? Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, so go ahead, Marek, CTO of Celo Foundation. The floor is yours.
Amazing. Well, it's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much, Chris and Infura. I know it's Celo and Infura have been working together over the last, I would say, half year with Infura launching Celo support last month, and it's just been a really wonderful partnership, and so it's really great to be here. Figured today Nestor and I can kind of split this talk up, and I just wanted to introduce Celo to anybody here who's new to Celo or who hasn't heard kind of what is going on as of recently in Celo, and then I'm going to pass it over to Nestor, who works in the developer relations team at the Celo Foundation, and he'll talk a little bit about some of the tools and resources available to all of you builders out there. And once again, I'm Marek. I'm CTO at C Labs, one of the co-founders of Celo, and you can find me on Twitter at Marek_. Just wanted to start with Celo's mission. You've probably heard that Celo is a very mission-driven ecosystem, and I think that's very true. I think we generally try to be very intentional about building Web3 products that have a purpose. And so this frequently means that we're building products for everyone. So building for all is a common kind of mantra in the ecosystem. And not surprisingly, we're particularly excited about the self-custodial nature of Web3 and the impact that self-custody can have on everyone around the world, especially folks who have been excluded from today's financial infrastructure that many of us take for granted. And so you might be wondering, what makes Celo unique? I would say three things. The first is Celo's proof of stake protocol. Celo has a really interesting and highly scalable proof of stake protocol that it launched with actually close to 3 years ago. So it's been in production for quite a while. And it has a lot of similarities to what ETH2 launched with recently. It uses BLS signature aggregation. It does so with a BLS 12 family curve. One difference, though, is that it does so over BLS 12377, which is a very snark-friendly curve, which allows us to do a lot of interesting snark, ZK snark-related operations that touch consensus. So one of those is around the like client. Celo has a really efficient like client that uses ZK snarks to effectively prove that a header is part of the chain, which allows you to sync quite quickly with just a few kilobytes of data, should you want to use the like line. The other, I would say, unique feature is kind of this mobile focus that Chris alluded to during the introduction. This is around kind of this designing for all kind of piece of our mission. We really want to build products that are accessible to everyone in the world, and that today means targeting mobile devices. Certainly the like client is a big piece of targeting mobile devices, but we also have an identity protocol that is decentralized. It lets you map phone numbers to wallet addresses. And that means that you can actually send payments to people in your contact list really easily using wallets that are built on top of Celo. And this is another really nice feature. And then finally, around just ease of use, Celo has this ability to pay for gas with tokens. So not just the native asset Celo, but any ERC20 token that's been allowed listed through on-chain governance. This is particularly useful for stablecoins. So if you're sending a stablecoin as a part of a payment to someone, maybe that person doesn't have a wallet yet, or doesn't have any funds in their wallet, and if you send them that stablecoin, you've probably encountered this on many of today's chains. Frequently, you end up being stuck, and you need to go and buy the native asset just to be able to send that stablecoin onwards to someone else. With Celo, you don't have that issue because you can actually pay for that transaction fee with that stablecoin. And this is a really, really nice feature that currently is supported by 3 ERC20 tokens, 3 stablecoins on Celo. But again, any ERC20 token that has been allowed listed through on-chain governance can be used. And so if you have a token that you think could work really well as a gas currency, then it's very much possible to bring that to Celo and get it approved through governance for use as a gas currency. Now, the features are just one part of the ecosystem. Frequently, people are interested in how big the community is and how much liquidity there is. What can I compose with? And so here are just a few stats that might be interesting for you. We're tracking thousands of projects now that are building on Celo. There's over 22 million addresses on Celo. As of yesterday, 233 million transactions since the network launched. That's a pretty staggering number. And one stat that I'm particularly excited about, Celo was the first chain to offset its carbon. Actually, it did so through an on-chain governance proposal right after the network was stood up. This is close to 3 years ago now. And since then, it's been fully offsetting not just the carbon that it's been contributing to, but we estimate actually more. We're offsetting more carbon than the network is estimated to actually emit. And so that makes Celo a carbon negative chain, as we say. And you may have seen this actually being talked about by other chains. And in fact, we're really thrilled to have started a trend around this, really to make layer ones not contribute to climate change, but actually help fight it. So we're pretty stoked to see all these other chains following our suit. Now, I think critically, Celo is also growing really quickly. So the last 6 months, have obviously been a difficult time in the crypto industry. But one thing that we're pretty excited about is the fact that our transaction count has actually grown pretty significantly over the last 6 months. So this is the 7-day average, and we're up over 2x since half a year ago. And that's certainly relative to our peers, a really good showing. And if you're kind of curious about what kind of use cases, what kind of dApps, what kind of Web3 offerings are kind of biggest in the Celo ecosystem, I would say 2 things are pretty big. One is around mobile DeFi. This focus on mobile, not surprisingly, has resulted in a lot of really great mobile offerings, mobile Web3 and specifically DeFi offerings. Some of which focus on payments because of this really nice ability to pay for gas with tokens. And then the other thing that's been growing quite quickly on Celo is refi or regenerative finance. And we hypothesize this is in large part because Celo was the first chain to become carbon negative. And now there's just this really exciting ecosystem forming of these refi protocols that are doing some really incredible work. So I just want to take a minute just to dive into each of these, and then I'll talk a little bit about the technical roadmap. So on the mobile DeFi front, I think a lot starts with the Valora wallet. So Valora is a really easy to use mobile wallet that uses a lot of the great features that Celo offers. And so if you're kind of curious what the experience looks like on Celo, highly recommend checking out Valora. You can go and see it at valora.xyz. As you see in the screenshot, the two primary actions are send and request, and that's because Velora has this really incredible experience around sending and receiving crypto from people in your contact list, leveraging that decentralized phone verification protocol I mentioned earlier. Now, it also has a wonderful dApp browser, so it does a lot more than just sending and receiving money. But sending and receiving money is really, really easy. It's really quite a joy to use. So definitely encourage you to check that out. And then if you were to click on the dApps menu item in Velora, you'd see a list of dApps that you can access through the dApp browser on the wallet. That's a lot longer than this, but I just wanted to highlight a few really great projects that have deployed on Celo and are accessible now in this mobile fashion in Velora. Uniswap is probably the main one that's worth really calling out. They're obviously the #1 DEX out there, and we're just thrilled to have them on Celo. I think they're deployed on 5 or 4 chains. Of which Celo is the only L1 other than Ethereum, of course, that they support. So really, really thrilled to have them on Celo, and certainly Celo users have been getting a lot of value out of Uniswap. Ubiswap is another really fun DEX on Celo, named after the Filipino purple potato, and then deployed actually quite recently on Celo as well, and actually has grown in TVL. So there's a lot of stable currency activity on Celo, not surprisingly given the payments focus, which means that Curve gets a lot of transactions, a lot of people exchanging between different stable coins. Moolah is a really great lending market on Celo. Stake Celo is the liquid staking protocol on Celo, which a lot of people have been really getting value out of recently. And there's a whole manner of different protocols that let you save money and receive rewards. Pulled together is the one that you can see here, but there's many, many others as well. You might also be asking, well, what about fiat and on and off ramping? It's a really good question, especially on Celo, where you can pay for gas with stablecoins. The ability to cash in by an on and off ramp into a stablecoin and then be able to use that stablecoin to then access DeFi and access Web3, that's really, really appealing. And the good news is we haven't forgotten about fiat. Hopefully some of you recognize this movie and this reference, but fiat is really important in the Celo ecosystem, especially on and off ramping. And there's many, many providers that are now in the ecosystem that provide dApps and wallets, really wonderful experiences for on and off ramping. This is just a handful of them, but having many on and off ramps actually creates a problem for developers. In our one thing that we've observed over the last few years, what we've noticed is you end up having a lot of wallets having to connect to a lot of different on and off ramps. And this is to get better coverage for their users. If you want to get global coverage for your wallet, you have to integrate with a lot of different local providers, and you end up and everyone basically is replicating that work. So you end up with something that looks like this, where every wallet connects with every on and off ramp. This starts looking like a plate of spaghetti. There's a lot of complexity in this kind of many-to-many relationship here. And so one thing that we've done in the ecosystem is actually simplify this with a protocol called Fiat Connect, which is really an open API standard that allows everyone to just integrate against one API that is reused by everyone. And so if you're a developer and you really care about making it easy for people to on and off ramp into your dApp, then I highly recommend checking out Fiat Connect. You can think about it as the wallet connect of the on and off ramp world. It's really, really neat. And critically, it's a backend API. So you, as a wallet or dApp, get to control the experience fully, so that it looks 100% native to your application. And so your users end up finding it less scary to go through the flow, making it just much, much easier for them to get on board into your application. And again, they can cash into a stable coin, and then they could use that stable coin to actually interact with the ecosystem without having to take on any currency risk, which is really appealing, especially for normies. And Fiat Connect launched recently in 3 markets: Nigeria, Kenya, and the Philippines. We're really, really excited about this. There's a whole bunch of markets that are about to light up as well as a fast follow after this launch. So keep an eye out on that. It's just so cool to see this really seamless, amazing on and off ramp experience. And it's so cool to see that now that it's integrated, wallets like Valora can actually add new providers with just one line change, effectively just a configuration change into the application. So that's kind of mobile DeFi. What about refi? You may have heard of regenerative finance and all of these really incredible protocols that have been launching over the last few years. In the Celo ecosystem, we have what's called the Climate Collective, which is a collective of really amazing refi protocols. Here's just a short list of a few of them. In the collective, you might recognize Toucan, you might recognize Flow Carbon. These are really big names. The Climate Collective is all about helping disintermediate the kind of the value chain in the traditional carbon market. And to do that with Web3, you really need a whole bunch of different protocols, each targeting different pieces of the traditional kind of Web2 stack. And so the Climate Collective has a lot of these companies all and projects all in the collective, and they're all working together to basically solve this really, really difficult problem. So if you're doing anything in climate, highly recommend checking out climatecollective.org and maybe even applying to join as a member. And then finally, for us, refi is more than just climate. There's a whole bunch of other really exciting protocols that have a social good component in them on Celo. Impact Market and Good Dollar are 2 examples. Impact Market has raised over $3 million and has been kind of giving it out on the order of 40 cents a day to tens of thousands of beneficiaries globally, including some in very adversarial markets like Afghanistan. And then these folks use wallets like Valora to then transact daily and use this crypto as a medium of exchange, as a way to pay for goods and services. And it's been really, really great to see. Highly recommend checking out Impact Market if you want to donate. It's just impactmarket.org. And then Good Dollar is another really well-known social dividend protocol that just yesterday voted in their community DAO to move to Celo, which is really, really cool. Cool. So just wanted to end with what's next. If you're curious about kind of the roadmap that we're putting out for this year, it looks a little bit like this, and this is just a proposal because Celo is decentralized, and ultimately any change needs to be approved through on-chain governance or through validators upgrading to the latest client. But this is what we've been excited to work on for the year and propose to the community. Number one is even more alignment with Ethereum. We've already been tracking all hard forks, all Ethereum hard forks over the last 2.5 years. That will continue, but we have other things we want to do as well, such as allow listing WETH as a gas currency on Celo, so that if you move ETH over from Ethereum to Celo, you'll be able to actually use that as a gas currency straight away and be able to participate in DeFi, in all Web3 activities on Celo without having to go to a centralized exchange and try to acquire some Celo. So we're really excited about that. We're also very excited about rollups. There's a lot of ecosystem members who are interested in building rollups in the Celo ecosystem or launching their own subchains. And I think, like Ethereum, like the broad Ethereum community, we firmly believe that rollups are the most secure way of achieving kind of a multi-shard ecosystem. And so we're investing heavily in rollups as well, specifically around ZK primitives. So Celo already has 2 sets of precompiles for BLS 12381 and 377 that are unique and other EVM chains don't support. These really allow you to do some really interesting cryptographic operations for cheap in Celo, which are particularly good for ZK EVMs. And then we're also working right now to add pasta curves and BW6 curve support, which are 2 other really exciting sets of curves that people really care about. We're also investing heavily into scaling just EVM vertically as well. This is a very tall order. EVMs are notoriously difficult to parallelize and scale. But we have been working on a number of different initiatives over the last year, kind of at a research phase, and we're excited to bring them into production this year. We're also super excited about ultrasound money. And so following Ethereum's footsteps, Celo right now has sound money. It has a hard limit on the amount of Celo that can be minted ever. But because we already support EIP 1559, we're going to make a few changes to burn the base fee instead of sending it to the community DAO in an effort to move Celo towards ultrasound money. And then very finally, I mentioned decentralized phone verification earlier. A new version of that is currently being released called Social Connect. Currently it's in beta, but hopefully soon it'll come out of beta. Think of Social Connect as a really easy way of dApps leveraging folks' contact lists in their mobile devices for building more social experiences. So if you're building any sort of social network or any sort of dApp that has a social element, and you want to leverage people's contact lists in a way that's really easy to tap into, and critically also privacy preserving, definitely keep an eye out for Social Connect. We think it's a really wonderful feature. This is just a proposal. We continuously listen to our community and to builders building on Celo. And so if you have any feature requests, if there's anything that you're particularly excited about or feel like is lacking or that you really need, we're always listening. So definitely let us know. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Nestor to talk a little bit about some resources available to you.
Thank you, Marek. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'm gonna talk about developers relations. So thanks, Marek, and hi all. So next, please. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about pillars of developer relations, and pretty much I'm gonna cover on the various programs that we have at DevRel to promote and engage more developers into the ecosystems. So I'm going to cover all these 5 points in the different programs that I'm going to mention. So for example, can we move to the next slide, please? So for example, let's say that you're a junior developer or you focus on Web2 technologies, but you're eager to learn more about Web3 and Celo. For that, starting this year, we have Celo Stack Shift, a program that focuses on introducing new talents to the power of building on Celo through weekly sessions, live coding, project talent network, tutorials, and more. Then you will be onboarded into the ecosystem. And can we move to the next slide? And then you might say, okay, I want to read carefully the documentation in my own language, and maybe it's not English. So what options do I have? Well, we have you covered. Starting this year, we have translated the documentation in Spanish and Portuguese, and we will continue adding more languages all this year. Then, can we move to the next slide? Then you are already onboarded on the Celo Stack Shift. You already read the documentation, probably in your own language or English, and then you want to contribute and reinforce your knowledge. Then for that, we have Celo Sage. Sages are part of a passionate ecosystem of technical content creators, growing the Celo community to connect, collaborate, and earn, and by creating blogs, documentation, videos, or design to help developers build on Celo. So as you may see, you can see kind of the path that we have for you, and we are in every step. So then, can we move to the next slide, please? Then we have office hours. So what's this for? Let's say that you already passed for the Celo Stack Shift, then you read the documentation, then you are contributing to the ecosystem by creating documents, videos, so on, and you want to clarify some specific points about things that you want to be clear about, or I don't know, pain points that you're having in your development process. So for that, you have office hours. So those are weekly calls that you can connect on Discord and just say, hey, I have this question. I'm having this issue. Could you guys help me to solve it? So yeah, we have that. Also, now on the tool side, we have Blocks Explorer, for example. We have Celo Scan and Explorer.celo. And one of the tools that excite us the most is Celo Composer. Can we move to the next slide? So in Celo Composer is a quick, you can quickly build and deploy and iterate on decentralized applications using Celo. So this contains a CLI where you will able to select whatever front-end framework you want, front-end libraries, smart contract frameworks, and others. So you will say, okay, npx Celo Composer create, and then you will have a list of front-end frameworks, and you will say, okay, I want to create a React web platform, or I want to go mobile and create a React Native application. So you select that. Then you will say, okay, I want to use specifically the React Celo library to connect to the chain, or I want to use Rainbow Kit Celo. Then you select it. And finally, if you want, you can optionally add your smart contract framework and say, hey, I want to use Hardhat, or no, I want to use Truffle, or I want to use Foundry. So you select that, and all that will be compiled into one project ready for you to start deploying on Celo, developing on Celo. Also, we have SoftGraph. So there's another option that you can say, okay, for this smart contract that I want to build, I want also to create SoftGraph for it. So it's a very exciting template that you can use right now to start developing in Celo and exploring the ecosystem. So how and where to get started on Celo? So first, our documentation. Of course, we're gonna encourage you to read the documentation and also the tutorials. So for that, those are the links. And we are happy to support you in every step of the way. So as you see, we're there to support you at every stage on your learning process. Thank you so much.
And thank you again, Chris. It's great to be here. And again, it's been really wonderful working together with Consensus. And one real fun fact, just to end with, that I just heard. I just heard that Graph has now switched over to using Infura as of yesterday as its RPC node, which is just absolutely exciting. We're just so thrilled to hear the news.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for the call out. Are you guys going to be at ETH Denver? Are you going to have a presence?
We are, yes. We're going
Yeah.
to have a presence at ETH Denver. There's a climate event as well, and then also at a bunch of different side events. So keep an eye out for us. We'll be there, and honestly, we're at every big crypto event. So definitely come say hi if you want to chat more.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you all so much. So it's such a cool project. It's really realizing that dream of making blockchain and financial infrastructure available to all the underbanked and unbanked people in the world. Yeah. Amazing project. Not just carbon neutral, carbon negative, amazing project. So thank you for being on. All righty. So we're going to try to do some questions here, but Crowdcast is not agreeing with us right now. Hey, Lauren, are you able to come on? Oh, looks like she's frozen. All righty, Infura fam.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We hear you. Cool. So did you have some questions from the audience, Lauren? Oh, looks like you're frozen. All righty. Well, okay, well, as I wait for Crowdcast to kind of catch up here, I might go ahead and talk about the next amazing event happening in the Web3 community. Infura.
Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah, I've got some questions picked up. Shout out Web3 fam. We have effectively broken Crowdcast.
Yeah. Cool. So who was the question for? Oh, here we go. Are you frozen again? Oh man. Crowdcast is really struggling here. All righty. Yeah, we might just have to go ahead and call it. But before we close out this session, I just want to let you know that Infura, Truffle, and your favorite wallet, MetaMask, are going to have a big presence at ETH Denver. We're going to be there for the Build-a-thon hackathon, supporting our hackers and our developers with bounties, which we can't tell you the details of yet, but we will soon. We're sending out a post on March 31st, and that's going to detail all of the awesome things we're doing, including bounties, mentoring, speaking. We're going to be all over the place supporting our amazing Web3 community. So definitely come out and see us. And yeah, thank you all so much for joining. And we're going to be sending out all the links and resources from all of our amazing guests today. So go ahead and keep on building Web3 community. So yeah, thank you to all our amazing guests, Chris and JP from InfluenceETH. That's super cool, epic space MMO that's on chain. Thank you, Anthony from Encode Club, just a great learning organization for Web3. And thank you, Nestor and Marek. Celo is such an aspirational, amazing project. And yeah, we're so happy that you're part of the ecosystem. So, yep. So, thank you, everyone. Happy New Year. Happy Lunar New Year. The year of the rabbit or the cat, depending on what country. But thank you, everyone, and have a great day.